Eagles can turn it on with Jalen Hurts standing in the backfield and his addition in the run game. I still got Philly coming out of the NFC.
Mike T, Dak Prescott, all these interceptions he's throwing are going to cost the Cowboys a shot at the Super Bowl. Is that fact or fiction?
It's fact, and that pains me to say because I'm a big Dak fan. But if we go back over the last 5 games, Greeny, 8 interceptions. 5 games is a long time, so he hasn't fixed it yet. Defenses in the playoffs get better. I think he sends them home.
All right, let's talk about the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy was asked yesterday about that hideous 26-6 loss in Washington. Here's what the coach said.
I talked a little bit about, yesterday not being a burn the tape type outlook here, but we've had a chance to go through it, and frankly, I think it's time to burn the tape and move on to Tampa.
Listen, I mean, burn the tape. We've seen it happen. Rex Ryan once buried a tape, and it worked for all those kinds of things. But we have to start with our beloved former Cowboy here, Marcus Spears. Before we move forward, what happened to the Cowboys on Sunday, and more importantly, what did it mean?
Well, look, this is this team. They're Jekyll and Hyde. Like, you don't know what you're going to get week in and week out, and that's the scariest part. That's why the confidence wavers. Now, I will say, look, going into Washington, you're in the playoffs. Obviously, everybody brings up the 1 seed, and that Philly and New York game was a little bit closer than everybody thought it would be. But ultimately, when you look at this Cowboys team, this is what we've seen throughout the year. This is the type of performances and turnovers, bad sloppy play, penalties, offensive line getting beat up front. These are the things of why, when you look at the 12-4 record, you say, this team playing well, and if they don't beat themselves, can beat and compete with anybody in the NFC and potentially get to a Super Bowl. But over the history of seeing the Dallas Cowboys, especially with what they've been doing, with what Dak has been doing, turning the football over, there is no shot at getting to the damn Super Bowl. We don't need to come on TV and fool ourselves. Like the Cowboys are the talking point. Everybody loves to talk about them. I want them to win as much as anybody. But how can you have full confidence watching what we've watched that the Cowboys are going to go to the Super Bowl? The other thing is this too. The problem for other teams is you don't know what damn team is going to show up. It may be the 40-3 team that showed up against Minnesota, or it may be the team we saw play the Washington Commanders. It may be the team we saw play Jacksonville Jaguars or the Green Bay Packers, where you see good and bad. But these turnovers are the issue. And when you think about what I've been saying for the last month, this will be about Dak Prescott and Kellen Moore. We sat here and had the whole battle about the Green Bay Packers game. I thought Dak played well enough for them to win that game. Everybody talked about the defense and all of the things that came along. It does not matter, y'all. If Dak Prescott and Kellen Moore are not A-gaming, the Cowboys have no shot at getting through these playoffs and winning this game. And they might not come out of Tampa alive if he turns the football over.
Well, that's the point. So long before we start talking about the Super Bowl, we talk about beating the all-time Super Bowl quarterback. Danny, how do we describe what is at stake here for the Cowboys in this game? I have been describing it as a fire everybody game. You lose this game, everybody gets fired.
Look, I mean, we don't know what ownership will do, but I don't think it's out of the question that if they were to lose this game, especially if they lose it in embarrassing fashion, right, on Monday night on ESPN, that there could be changes. I mean, look, I don't know how you show up for Sunday's game and play like that. That wasn't Jekyll and Hyde. That was Jekyll and the Texans. Like, you cannot roll in on that. Like, the debate last week was, should they play their guys? Like, if you're going to play your guys, you got to play. Like, that was not a playoff caliber performance in any stretch. And guys, is there anybody who breaks down film that can tell me why he won't stop throwing interceptions? He never threw interceptions before.
Yes.
And now he literally will not stop doing it. I don't understand what's going on.
Well, I have the leader of the Dak Prescott fan club and then a member of the family over here. and it is inexplicable. All the things that we lauded Dak for over the years, pre-snap recognition, all the things that he has always done well seem to be the things that have suddenly become the problem. How do you explain it?
He's a smart player and a great decision maker, normally pre-snap and during the games. I think, to be completely honest with you, a fair assessment of Dak's interceptions were, like, it was a lot of them that weren't his fault. but then the game just happened on Sunday. Those were all on him. Like, there's no excuse. There's no talking around it. I think that it's possible that you could say that that was an aberration. You can't coach somebody out of throwing tip balls or kind of fluky interception luck. But in that particular game, it really brought to light how scary it could be if they lose Dak also. Because right now, there are lots of holes everywhere, and I think Dak's ability offensively kind of covers up for that. Even the holes on defense, because they can score so many points when he's playing well. But if he's mediocre, they're bad.
Yeah, and just to move the story forward, guys, Coach Dungy mentioned this the other night. They're really bad on grass. That slows down their pass rush. So if they can't get the lead and Dak's turning the ball over, they're 1-4 in their last 5 games on the road on grass, giving up 27 points a game. So, Greeny, it becomes a force multiplier. Not only are you turning the ball over, but now you can't rush the passer, which is really the strength of this team.
To be clear what he means, on grass, it neutralizes speed a little bit. On the road, it's a little harder for defenses to get off the ball quickly. So the formula of trying to get out in front and then winning it with your aggressive defense maybe works a little bit less well on a road grass game like this is in Tampa. Marcus, I'll ask it to you simply because I won't have you again this week, to my knowledge. Do you expect them to win? Do you expect them to beat Brady and the Buccaneers next Monday?
No, I do not.
Ooh.
No, I do not. And you can't say that with great confidence. And I know what we've talked about with the Bucs, and I know that we've had the conversation about the Bucs not being a really good football team. We know that offensive line has struggled, but guys, think about this now. What we saw Mike Evans do, the Cowboys are struggling opposite of Trayvon Diggs. Mm-hmm. And they will need, Tom Brady is going to needle that the entire football game. And if you don't figure out how to get that taken care of, offensively they can be explosive enough. And you telling me that we've been watching turnovers happen with this defense, with these guys that they have on the back end, the ability to rush with Devin White and Levante David in the middle of the pocket. They got back healthy with Carlton Davis on the back end. Listen, I do believe that the Cowboys playing at their highest level can take care of the Buccaneers. But there ain't nothing to tell you that they gonna play at their highest level. And if I thought they would, if I thought that they would go in, if I thought last week was an anomaly and they would go into this game with the full confidence that Dak is going to take care of the football, they're going to be creative offensively, they're going to get some semblance of a run game going and be able to be multiple, I'll say with full confidence that the Cowboys are going to win this game. I don't know that. And you're not going to beat Tom Brady if you turn the football over. That is exactly how the Buccaneers want to play. They want to beat you that way.
It is remarkable and a testament to the power of the Cowboys brand that what could easily wind up being the final game in the career of the most accomplished player of all time is barely part of the conversation as we go through this week. This is all about the Cowboys. We'll see what they have on Monday night. Well, that it certainly was. 58 points is the margin. That's not only the largest ever in a championship game, meaning BCS or CFP, it's the largest winning margin in any bowl game in the history of college football. They've been playing those a really long time, so it was that kind of one-sided. Let's bring David Pollack in here first and foremost, and Swagu is here, and Dominic. Look, I think Georgia was almost a 2-touchdown favorite, David. The expectation was they were the better team, and if it went their way, they might win somewhat easily. Were even you surprised at just how dominant they were last night?
Well, everybody was surprised at 65-7. Listen, you knew Georgia had the advantages across the board, and we were trying to do the show. We were talking about talent, and you look at Georgia, they had 66 4- and 5-star guys. TCU had 17. So there was a huge discrepancy. Something great had to happen. But just listen to Kirby talk. By the way, they leaked his pregame speech too. And if you want to go run through a wall this morning, go find it and listen to it. I mean, just unbelievable job of ways to find to get their guys motivated, and their talent just won out. Remember last week, Peach Bowl Ohio State was a great game that felt like the national championship as opposed to last night.
Yeah, I mean, the two games a week ago Saturday were both magnificent and both came down to the very finish, and then last night we get the blowout. So, Marcus, I'll ask you first because I feel like it is the legitimate question to ask today. Nick Saban and Alabama have owned the sport for more than a decade. Does college football now belong to Kirby Smart and Georgia?
Yeah, 2-time national champions back-to-back, and a lot of people haven't talked about they've been knocking at the door previously. Like, this has been a consistently good football team. I remember when Nick Chubb and Sony Michel went to California and won a big game and lost to Nick Saban in Alabama. Look, we can determine by history and talk about all of the things that Saban has accomplished at Alabama, or we could live in the now. And when you the two-time back-to-back national champion, you own college football. That's the reality of this game. And then dominant as well. When you look at what Georgia not only did